Welcome back to StillPoint Logic, and thank you for joining me again. Last week, we noticed the stories our minds tell, the beliefs that shape our emotions and in turn, our reality. Today, we take the next step, questioning the script itself. This episode might feel a bit like a repetition of episode 2. It is partially true. Episode 2 was a mental warm-up for this one. That is also why it was very short. I want this idea to sink in. Think of your mind like a lens on the world. For some, it is like a pair of glasses, smudged or tinted by old stories. Questioning a belief is like taking off those glasses, cleaning the lenses, or trying a new pair. Suddenly, things feel sharper, brighter, and just a little clearer. Or maybe your mind is like a camera app with filters applied by default. Adjust the filter, change the focus, zoom in or out, and the same scene can feel completely different with new colors, details, and depth emerging. Or perhaps your mind is like a window. Some days the glass is foggy or dusty from old beliefs. Wiping it clean or opening it wider doesn't change the view, but it lets the light in, the movement out, and lets you see what's been there all along in a fresh way. My point is that this isn't about changing your character. It's about shifting how you see what's already there by noticing yourself and the world with curiosity, clarity, and a little more freedom. Imagine this. You send a text to a friend. An hour passes, no reply. Your mind starts spinning a story. They're ignoring me. More time passes and that story grows. Now you're thinking, I must have done something wrong. I'm ignored. Maybe I don't matter. Let's break down what just happened. The event, you sent a text. The reply is delayed. Your thought, they're ignoring me. The story that you're telling yourself is, I'm being ignored, I don't matter. The emotion, you are probably very sad right now and maybe even feeling lonely. A high-level way to understand this is by following this structure. If this happens, it must mean something. And suddenly that something hijacks your emotions and your sense of reality. Here's the key. This is the moment where you can start challenging the script you tell yourself. Because most of the time, we react automatically. Our minds tell stories and we believe them without questioning, then it shapes our decision making and our emotions. But what if in this moment you actually paused and doubted the story that your mind is telling you? The first step is just to notice the belief. Name it out loud. I am being ignored. I feel like I don't matter. Simply identifying it gives you space. And I know it sounds silly, but when you say it out loud, you're facing it. You're not trying to run away from it. And that's exactly the space that you need to think about it from a different angle. And that's the next step where you need to ask yourself, is this actually true? Is there clear evidence I am being ignored, or is this just a story your mind is telling? Could there be other explanations? Could your friend genuinely be busy or distracted? And finally, observe the emotional impact. Notice what happens in your body when you hold on to that belief. Maybe you feel it in your chest or your stomach, or this wave of sadness washes over you. But by noticing these reactions without judging, why am I feeling this way? Just notice it. It gives you the chance to respond rather than run from them. That means not suppressing, ignoring, or pushing your feelings away, but allowing yourself to experience them while staying aware. By doing this, you're actually stepping out of autopilot. You're seeing the story for what it is, just a story. and giving yourself the option to choose a different, more balanced perspective. It's not about forcing positivity, it's about returning to reality moment by moment with curiosity and clarity about what actually is going on and not the story that your mind is telling you. In practice, when you send a text and the reply is delayed, consider this. Maybe your friend is busy. Maybe they haven't seen it. Maybe they saw it but can't respond right now. Maybe they just need some time. And maybe everything is just okay. That's a real possibility. Basically, our minds are natural storytellers. They take an event like spilling coffee or receiving feedback, a delayed text, and spin a narrative. The narrative might be, I'm not good enough, or they don't like me, or everything will go wrong. Our minds can turn coffee spill into a life crisis if we let them. But these stories are often not fully grounded in reality. They mix fact with assumption, exaggerations, or old patterns. So a single belief can really ruin a good moment. The same like glasses with the wrong prescription. Questioning a belief is like changing that lens. You're seeing more clearly, and over time, those clearer lenses reshape how you experience yourself, others, and the world. Challenging a belief doesn't require a dramatic shift. Sometimes it's noticing, questioning, and staying in it for a little while, not running away from the feeling. When we question a belief, we clean the lens, we see more clearly. And even a small correction changes the whole picture. Logic-based therapy, developed by Dr. Elliot D. Cohen, gives us a clear way to look at our thoughts when emotions try to take over. The first step that I think we're all familiar with by now is spot the event. Notice the moment that set off a strong feeling. Then, name the belief that followed. If this happened, it must mean X. Next, look for the thinking trap. Are you expecting yourself to be perfect, assuming the worst, or are you trying to guess what other people are thinking? Then, find the good intention underneath. Maybe what's motivating you is because you care very deeply about someone. Maybe you want to do really well, or you value the connection and are trying really hard to make it work. Even these 4 steps can start to ease the emotional load. And in later episodes, we'll explore the last 2 steps, which are finding a philosophical counterpoint and reshaping the belief into something more balanced and realistic. The last part is turning your new perspective into a practical step that you can live by. And by practicing this, you actually train your mind to notice a story before it hijacks your emotions. Now, I want to share a few mini stories about how challenging your belief is really in action. Some of them are a bit of a repetition of things from the previous episodes, but I wanted to close the loop on it. The first mini story is about Alex and the presentation. Alex believes I must never make mistakes. During a team presentation, he stumbles on a slide. Normally, his chest would tighten and thoughts start spinning in his mind into self-criticism. But today, he pauses and asks, is it really true that I can't handle a small mistake? So he notices the mental trap, thinking perfection is the only option, and also the drive beneath it, the part of him that wants to do really well. He reframes. I can aim high, make mistakes, and still keep going. And then the tension eases a little bit, and he doesn't spiral into self-criticism, finishes the presentations with a steadier pace. The second mini story is about Maya and the friend. Maya thinks, if I'm upset, my friends should notice. And when they don't, she starts feeling very, very frustrated. But then she pauses, takes a breath, and asks herself, is it really fair to expect them to always pick up on my mood? And by noticing the trap, assuming others can read her mind, she also notices the desire behind it, where it comes from the fact that she really wants to have strong connections. Then she reframes, I can share my needs and still stay close. And then that feeling that she had softened, and she understands that a door is open for conversation instead of this silent tension that she created. Our last mini story is about Jordan and self criticism. Jordan often finds himself thinking, I always fail at relationships. And that thought usually makes him feel very lonely and pulls him into a hopeless loop. But today, he pauses and asks, always? Do I really? And that's when he catches the pattern, jumping straight to the worst case scenario, and realizes what he's been missing, which is his ability to listen, communicate, and try again. And then he thinks to himself, sometimes connections take time, but I know how to reach people. And that opens up a more open point of view. So when the next time he steps into a conversation, it is with more openness. I was hoping that through these stories, we can see the patterns more clearly, which is how a belief shapes how life feels. But noticing and questioning the belief can reshape this flow and allow space for a new perspective to come in. This week, I'd like to guide you through a short reflection, and you've already heard the steps many times, but now let's try and slow them down and walk through a full cycle together so it can really sink in. Take a moment to yourself and think of a situation that stirred something in you, maybe frustration, anxiety, or sadness, and try to notice where you feel it in your body. Now let's jump straight into step 1, where we're trying to spot that event. What happened right before the feeling appeared? For example, I felt anxious when my friend didn't reply. Going into step 2, we want to trace that belief. Ask yourself, what story am I telling myself about this? And maybe it's, if I send a text and they don't reply, it means they don't care about me. Go straight to step 3. Try to find the thinking pattern. Are you assuming the worst case scenario? Are you expecting your friends to read your mind? Step 4. You need to find the good intention that lies underneath. Maybe the belief comes from you wanting to feel safe, or you want to feel more connected, or to be seen. And now it's the time when the little philosopher in you can wake up, and you may want to ask a philosophical question like, what would a wise voice say here? And it doesn't necessarily have to be a philosopher. It can be someone that you trust, and you can think, what would they say in this situation? Jump into the next step, which will be to reframe whatever is happening. So you want to create a more gentle alternative. For instance, I care about my friend. Their delay doesn't define our connection. I can reach out to them calmly and kindly. Now, notice if anything changed in your body as you pointed out these things and when you found a more grounded perspective. Maybe your shoulders dropped or your breath deepened. It's these small signals that your mind is starting to ease. And here's a little story for us just before this episode ends. Sometimes a thought sneaks in, a thought like, I can't do this. It shows up right in the middle of the day when everything already feels very heavy. Maybe your inbox is overflowing, or maybe the laundry pile is whispering at you. Maybe the next meeting feels like a mountain. And suddenly, that one thought, I can't do this, feels like the whole truth. But it's not. It's just a thought dressed up as a fact. That thought tries to tell you that because something feels impossible now, it will always be impossible. That if you can't handle everything perfectly, everything will fall apart. Here's where the story can shift. Instead of fighting the thought, you can pause and ask, is it absolutely true that I can't do this? Maybe not. Maybe you've done harder things before. Maybe you can take one small step. Or maybe you can let someone else help. All you need is that small moment of questioning that opens up space for something steadier, which is courage. And courage doesn't mean moving the whole mountain, it just means moving one stone at a time. Making one phone call, washing one t-shirt, or maybe resting, which is also a kind of strength. Rest isn't giving up, it's giving yourself time to recover, reflect, and gather energy. Stepping outside the routine usually means we're going through something, and yes, people around us might notice and react, but that's okay. Choosing rest is actually an active, intentional choice. It's not you being passive. It allows the mind and body to rest, regain strength, and respond with greater clarity. And slowly, your thoughts might begin to shift from, I can't do this, to, I can try one thing right now. And that's all you need to keep the story moving forward. And here we are at the end of our third episode. I want to thank you for listening. Also, a reminder that what we've explored today is rooted in logic-based therapy, but I am not a therapist. I'm your reflection companion. If today's episode resonated, try the reflection sheet on my website. It's free and I'm not going to add you to any email list. I just hope it can help you go through the reflection cycle we've been talking about. You can find it at stillpointlogic.com. Next week, we'll explore overthinking loops and how to untangle them. But before we part, I want you to remember, beliefs are not facts. You can doubt them. Events do not automatically predict outcomes. Watch the story your mind is trying to tell you and ask yourself, is this the story I want to carry today? I want to thank you for listening. The reflections in this podcast are inspired by logic-based therapy, a philosophical counseling model developed by Dr. Elliot D. Cohen. I'm a certified logic-based therapy consultant, and what I share here is my own perspective on its principles. This podcast is meant for reflection and learning and isn't a substitute for professional mental health. Take care, and I'll see you next time at your StillPoint.